Nestled right next to the entrance of Epic Universe, the Stella Nova Resort is a brand new Universal Orlando property that opened in January of 2025. This resort embraces a futuristic design inspired by the mysterious and ever-expanding universe, offering a unique experience for guests at an attractive price point. But when choosing between Universal's resorts, does this one deserve to rise to the top of the list when planning your next vacation? This is our very honest review of the Stella Nova. Hey everybody, welcome to the Daydream project. We just returned from a vacation to Orlando. It was really two different trips. We took a Disney cruise on the Fantasy, which we will have some videos about that experience later. But the first part of the trip, we spent some time at Universal, and we decided to try out the new Stella Nova Resort. It had only been open for about a month by the time we arrived, so it was really fun to experience something like that.
Yeah.
And we wanted to share that experience because there's been a lot of early vlogs, of course, about the resort, and we just wanted to try it for ourselves, especially because it is right next door to Epic Universe, which is opening very, very, very soon. And it's probably a resort a lot of people will consider staying so that they can experience the new theme park. So we decided to just review our experience here. But before we get into any of that, I think we should just cut back to when we were staying on site and show you the room tour.
All right, so we got just a standard 2-queen room here at the Stella Nova Resort.
I think that's the only room type they have.
The only room type that they have, which we've gotten Tara's family making fun of us for it. But if you come in right away, we've got some fun getting ready things. We've got a big mirror for the outfit of the day. And there is a light that turns on right above the mirror, which is great. This room has a ton of storage and it's all very cleverly hidden. So none of it's very obviously a dresser. When I walked in, I walked right past this closet, didn't even realize it was a closet. So in here, there is extra bedding because I believe you can use that on the couch if somebody needs to sleep there. I've got some of my stuff in here, but this is pretty spacious. Could throw a whole suitcase in here if you really wanted to. Got the classic safe, and which I just closed, and you've got an ironing board as well. And then if you keep walking inwards, to my right, there is the bathroom. So the sink area is separate, which is really nice if you are traveling with a group. It does have this interesting, it's a clear wall, but there is a curtain to make it a little more private. So if you're maybe traveling with someone where you're having them watch you wash your face would be uncomfortable for whatever reason, you get privacy.
Could be a fun feature.
Yeah, I don't know. It's there. And then in here, there are a lot of motion activated lights. So this is one of the motion activated lights.
I've been messing with these lights the entire time. I still haven't really figured out how all the lights work.
Oh yeah, there's this switch right here that I have no idea what it does. Not a single clue, but this one turns on this light. It's supposed to be motion activated, but I haven't gotten the motion to turn it on. But this one is motion activated. This is where the bathroom is and the shower. Now, something interesting about the shower. First of all, this is a shower designed by a woman for women. Hear me out. First of all, you can turn it on, but the shower head is over there. So you don't even have to get wet. So if you're trying to do a body shower and not a full hair shower, you can do that easily. I also don't know what this is for. What I have to imagine though, is it's so that you can shave your legs. If that's not what it's for, I'm gonna be really embarrassed. But it's incredible. The only thing that I have complaints about in the shower, you'll notice over here they do have some lovely Stella Nova specific shampoo and conditioner.
They smell pretty nice.
And they smell really nice.
It's like a eucalyptus type of
sort of
scent-ish.
Ember implies that it's a little more warm, but they didn't. All they gave us was bar soap. And I explained this in the Alani video. I have eczema and bar soap and I just do not gist together. And that's a teeny tiny little bar soap.
Yeah, so that's what we're using. We had no idea why they didn't just put up a third dispenser here for some body wash.
Yeah.
Missed opportunity, I think.
Yeah. And speaking of other things, missed opportunities, the sink area is really great. There's lots of storage. What they left for us in terms of by the sink is facial soap, which I'm not using on my face. But it's used, we're just using this as hand soap, and this is the only toiletry that they provided at the sink here. No like lotion, anything like that. They did behind all my stuff, there is a hair dryer as well, and then there's plenty of towels, but I think that the toiletry aspect is lacking just a little bit. Maybe they're still figuring that out though, with their signature smell. Here's the room. It is so cool. I love the design on the wall. The lighting is done in a really artistic way, so you can have your spotlights on. Those are motion activated, we learned this morning. And then you've also got your underlighting, which is a really nice way to light up the room without it being overhead directly. And the window is probably my favorite part. This window is just so cool.
Mine too. It's huge. It's kind of like a porthole window that you might have on a cruise ship, but like twice
The
the
size.
size. And fortunately, they asked us if we would like to be high up or close to the ground level. We chose the highest floor, floor number 9, and we do legitimately have a theme park view.
Yep. So this is Epic Universe, and as we are looking out the window here, they are testing both the coaster, which we think is the How to Train Your Dragon coaster, and then over here where the like Dark Universe is, they keep turning on this like giant thing that has flames on it.
Yeah, it's like a flame windmill. It looks really cool.
To be determined what that is, but it is really cool. And then just directly in front of us is the Nintendo World. So that's really awesome that we're able to kind of see all of that happening in real time.
Yep. Disney World, you'd be paying an arm and a leg for any type of theme
Park
park view
view.
that's this close. So I think we really lucked out here. Yeah, I can't say enough good things about how cool the view is. And just looking across to see the Helios Hotel, it's so cool lit up at night as well. And then if you look down here, this is the walkway. So you exit the hotel and you take, depending on how fast you are, maybe just between a 5 to 10 minute walk, and you are at the entrance to Epic Universe. So that'll be something people can take advantage of in just about 2.5 months from now.
Last but not least is this area here. So you've got a really spacious couch, and this kind of doubles too, like this table moves around. So we had breakfast there this morning. Plenty of storage in the drawers, but what I really appreciate about this room is that under the dresser and under the couch, there is plenty of underspace. So you can see we shoved our suitcases down there. So if you don't feel like unpacking into the closet and into the drawers, you could just shove your suitcase under the the space there, which is nice for keeping this walkway accessible.
Pretty standard TV. Both the outlets here on the dresser and also around the bed kind of have your standard plugs. You can hide them. They've got your USB hookups as well.
And then there is a fridge as well, also hidden in some lovely cabinets. And then the room does come with a coffee maker. It's Cuisinart. Do with that what you will. There is coffee downstairs that's sort of Starbucks coffee, if this is not the name of the game for you. And then there are ice tins as well for you to be able to bring ice to the room.
And one of my favorite features that Claudia doesn't like too much, but right behind her here is a light. Kind of looks like it might be an art piece, but it is a light fixture. There's a switch. So pretty cool.
Trigger warning for my trypophobia, friends.
Yeah. But you got one of these on both sides. You can turn on and off, which is pretty nice at night. I do think there's adequate lighting in here if you turn these on. But if not, can be a little bit dark when the sun goes down. There you have it. Stella Nova Resort, Universal's newest property, and a really phenomenal room view here. So I think that's Daydream Project Pro Tip. If you have the opportunity, request a room as high up as you can to make the most out of your view. So the way this review is going to work, we're going to break it down into 5 different categories. We're going to start with a rating from 1 out of 10 for location, Then we'll talk about design, just overall theming as well as the room design. We'll talk about amenities at the resort, food, and we'll end with value for money. So we'll rate all of those categories out of 10 for a total possible of 50 points.
Yep.
Want to get into the location first? We
Yeah.
saw in that room tour from the top floor, you legitimately get a theme park view. And if anybody wants to say hello, this is our cat Leah. So she
She'll probably
really
hang out
loves
with us.
hanging out with us and is going to be with us during this review. But what did you think in terms of just how the resort was situated, just in the greater Universal landscape?
Yeah. So I I actually had no idea that Universal even had resorts. So this was like when you were telling me about this new resort, I was like, what are you talking about? So I think that in terms of location, especially the Stella Nova, if you are going to go to Epic Universe, it's the prime location. In terms of, I mean, you can walk, it's a 5 minute walk to get to that park. Um, it was a longer shuttle ride to get to the other parks. I would want to say it took about
Yeah.
15-20 minutes of
Yep.
like shuttle time. And then, you know, you add walking on top of that, maybe it was closer to like half an hour of actual commute time,
Hmm.
which all in all is not horrible.
Yeah, it
Um,
wasn't a horrible drive. You just have
no,
to factor in like the waiting for the shuttle to fill up as
right.
well.
Yeah.
And a lot of other Universal properties are directly next to Islands of Adventure
Hmm.
or Universal Studios. So,
It's
um,
kind of one of those things that if you're there for Epic Universe, it's like I don't think you could get a better location.
yeah,
It's still a good location, all things considered. My only complaint, and like the things may change, is we it is a new area, so all of the roads are new. A lot of them are still closed.
we
Uh,
should mention that we weren't able to get an Uber
Uber,
one time
yeah.
because they're blocking off quite a few streets as they're doing the
Hmm.
construction, finishing that up for the theme park. And yeah, we had a frustrating call with an Uber driver who just
Just
had
like
no
could
idea
not
how to
figure it out.
navigate out there.
The only other thing too is that if you are kind of staying on property, there's beyond the park, you can't walk anywhere else. Like there's nothing out there. So I would say if like you're going as a family group and you want to have close proximity maybe to a grocery store or really nice convenience store to pick up snacks for the room, you are looking at some sort of drive and maybe having to get an Uber because I didn't see anything in walking distance. So that was probably the only downside considering that that might be a resort families use. What did you think of the location? Oh, I have to give it a score.
Yeah.
Um, shoot. I'm gonna give it a strong. You know what? I'm gonna start with an 8.5 out of 10. I
Okay.
think there's because I think that if there were other like nice like conveniences around the location, that's what would give me a 9.
Okay. I was really torn on this because, on the one hand, being able to see into Epic Universe was one of my favorite things about the room.
Yeah.
But at the same time, you lose a lot of that other access, the really quick access to things like the City Walk.
Right. Yeah.
And that's a shame when things like food, you don't have a really great selection at the Stella Nova, in my opinion. We'll share more about that in a little bit. But you miss out on that proximity,
Mm-hmm.
and the very close proximity to the other theme parks. And I mean, I knew we would be taking that shuttle. That wasn't a big deal. We took this trip so that Claudia could experience the Wizarding World of Harry Potter for the first time. It had also been like 10 years since I've been to a Universal theme park too. So that's what we were there for. And you just have to consider, like, what are you going to do at
Mm-hmm.
Universal? Like, are you planning on spending like multiple days at Epic Universe when that opens? Because if so, then yeah, I think this is a phenomenal location and you can stay there for a very, very attractive and cheap price.
Yes.
But if you're going to be spending more time at the other two resort theme parks, then it loses a little bit.
Yeah. I mean, you add a commute
Yeah.
on both ends.
So I'm going to give the location for that reason a 7.5
Okay.
out of 10. So still good, but there are some pros and cons to where it's
Hmm.
situated within the larger map of
Hmm.
Universal.
And that may change too. I think that there's a lot that could change about that area. I'm sure they're very aware that there's like nothing out there. So
Yeah.
we'll see how that continues to improve.
All right, so next is the design. And when we rolled up to this resort, I was so pleasantly surprised. My jaw dropped a little bit looking at the exterior, and I didn't know how I was going to like it just based on the concept art and early like photos and videos because there are a lot of colorful tiles
Yes.
across the outside of the resort. Actually, 144,000 acid washed tiles. But when you see it for yourself in real life, it is stunning.
Yeah. Very artfully, tastefully done.
Yep, the way that the light reflects off of those tiles, it is a different sight every single time you look at it. Like
Hmm.
each vantage point that you get is different. It changes throughout the day as the sun moves across the horizon. At night, it parts light up. Just looks so cool at every part of the day. And then the porte cochere area, it has like a black hole design.
Hmm.
And then you walk in and it's just, it really embraces that like futuristic, it's almost that mid-century modern like
Yeah.
meets the future in space. There are no straight lines. Everything is like curved and
Curved.
arched. And it almost looks like they took a page out of Interstellar's book. If you've seen that
Oh,
movie, right? Matthew McConaughey at the end is like going through the black hole, and I can see like parts of
that's
that
so,
brought into the
that's
design
a deep
here.
cut.
Yeah, but very clean, lots of white. There are um, pictures, like artwork throughout that are actual like NASA photographs that they've blown
Yeah.
up, which I loved. The light fixtures were so cool. Um, so all of that I loved,
Yeah.
and I really enjoyed the
Hmm.
room overall. There were a couple things about the room that were starting to show a little wear and tear, even 1 month into operating the resort. So that's slightly concerning. Just scratches here and there. Uh, there was a unfortunate duvet like bedding
That's a
situation.
generous term. It
Yeah,
was like, when you're in a hospital and it's that thin cotton blanket, it was that. Layers of that. That with a sheet.
yeah, that wasn't great.
No.
It was starting to fray. Um, so that, there were some drawbacks there.
Hmm.
But overall, I really loved the design. And it's actually a pretty intimate resort. I thought it was going to be a lot bigger, but
I think it'll feel bigger when that second part of the resort is open. I'm blanking on the name, but
Terra Luna, I
Terra
believe,
Luna.
is the
Yeah.
sister resort to this
Hmm.
one. Um, as we post this video, it will be opening very, very soon.
Yeah.
So, yeah, those two are in really close proximity, so it will probably feel slightly bigger when that happens. But I didn't mind that like intimate feel.
No, not at all.
Hmm. Yeah, so overall, design, I think they nailed it. Um, I would go back just to walk through the lobby area again. So I think I'm going to give a score of 8.5 out of 10 for
Yeah.
design. How about you?
I had similar sentiments. I was not feeling fergalicious when we arrived that day. I'm not sure what was happening, but I had the same like experience coming up on the building. I don't remember a lot about that particular day, but I do remember coming up on that building and thinking, "Oh my gosh, this is gorgeous."
That was
It's
also our
literally,
travel day when we
yeah,
left at like 3 a.m.
I had something happening and a lot of Dramamine in my system. So I remember like walking up or driving up to the building and just the sun was hitting it perfectly. It was gorgeous. And I really liked the interior design of the hotel. When you walk in, like Austin mentioned, it's all curved lines. And it does feel like you're walking into, I don't even know if it's like giving, it's like sci-fi vibes, but it was also a little bit like I was walking into this. futuristic cave,
Hmm.
because there was some really tastefully done asymmetry as well. I thought the lighting was fabulous. There were gorgeous light fixtures in there.
High
And
ceilings
very high
throughout and
ceilings.
in
It
our room
felt
too.
huge in a good way. Just very open spaces, never crowded. I feel like that can be a thing with like resort and hotel lobbies often, is it feels cramped. They did not, they had plenty of seating, but it was still so open. There was a bar right when you walked in, which was awesome. Um, I think that I liked too that not everything was up in your face. Like you actually had to explore, and you would find these little like, oh, there's the gift shop. Oh, and like tucked back here is the restaurant. So I really enjoyed that design of the lobby space. I also thoroughly enjoyed the design of the outside, like the pool deck area. I thought that that was really spacious, um, and it seemed thoughtfully done, considering that I'm sure they planted all of those um, plants not too long before we arrived, but everything looked finished. I had similar thoughts about the room. I loved the idea of the room. I thought that the colors in the room were really nice. The rug design was nice. I liked the pillows, the couch, and the just the design of where the couch was with the cabinets. Big fan. The what lost points for me is that I feel like you have this gorgeous, gorgeous space, and then that bedding just like ruined it for me. I just everything about that hotel, even though it was, value priced, everything about it felt luxury until the second you laid in that bed, and then I was like,
Hmm.
oh,
Yeah,
what happened here?
and the mattress and the bedding, I mean, that makes a huge difference.
Oh yeah, it really
So,
does. Especially after a long day in the park, I feel like all you want is just a nice comfy bed. So I felt like
yeah.
that was the thing that was lacking. But overall, I really did like the design. I thought it was really cool, and even like and sometimes like made you a little bit like, I don't know, like disoriented, but in a good way, because I was just like wanting to look at so much. I'm gonna give it a same score actually though, for an 8.5. I think that there are some really great elements of the design, and I just think that the small things, for it being such a new resort, I would think that they would have that figured out, like the bedding, the scratches on the wall, like there were light switches that were not functioning correctly, those sorts of things.
Huh, yeah, the motion
And
sensors for the lights, which all about saving energy, but we were just like sitting and chilling on the bed,
the
and we
lights would
the
turn
lights would
off.
just turn off, and it took us actually like a lot of motion
Yeah, I had to like get
to
up
turn
and
them back
jump
on.
on the bed. There was one light switch that was, I thought, and you see this in the room tour, I thought was not functioning at all. What had happened was, I guess, Austin, at one point, in trying to figure out the light, stuck his little fingies
Oops.
into a plug and shorted it. And I didn't realize that that had happened. And so the light switch that was not working was actually supposed to turn on a light behind the mirror, but like another thing, right? Another electrical thing that just like this light switch seemingly like not working in a brand new resort was kind of interesting. And
Yeah.
like not all of the lights were motion detectable.
It just
Um,
took a while to figure out like
yeah.
those logistics. Um,
And I could see with like kids in that setting, like the if the lights turned off, how do you get them back on again? Or if you've got kids running around in the middle of the night and the lights just poof, up, like that happened to us at one point.
yeah.
Austin got up at like some ungodly hour in the morning, and the lights just beamed into my eyes, and I was like, "Excuse you." So I think I love the idea of motion detection lights. I don't know that it's executed very well. One other thing, I'm sticking with my score of 8.5, but can we talk about the revolving door in the lobby?
Oh, yeah. So embracing kind of that modern futuristic design, there was I would say a rather unique revolving door,
Mm-hmm.
but with kids going through there and some kids purposefully trying to mess with that revolving door, it was causing some problems. It was one that like
It was.
continued to rotate, and
Mm-hmm.
if you got too close to that rotation, like it
It
would
would
stop.
stop, and it's a safety measure, and like obviously great that they would have that in place, but the door became a barrier to entry and exit more often than it was helpful,
Yeah.
because there were frequently, like Austin mentioned, there were kids that just they'd run too quickly into the door and the door would stop, or there were a couple kids that were sticking their arms in the door on purpose to make it stop, and then it would jam up. So you'd find yourself going in and out the regular doors. And again, it's one of those things that, like, the idea of an automatic door, I get it. But I just think that, considering the audience and that there would be a lot of large families coming to a resort like this, it was more of an inconvenience than it was
Hmm.
helpful. I think a regular parallel sliding door would have been
Yeah.
more functional in this circumstance.
Yeah. I still can't knock the score for that. It's more so the
Yeah.
people using the tool rather than the tool itself.
Yeah, I just think that if they had to make a change, right, in the lobby space, I think getting rid of that door and just putting a regular automatic door would be
Yeah.
more of a convenient design
Yeah.
than what it is currently stands.
So how did you feel about the amenities then?
Yeah, I thought I was okay. I'm going to say that I was pleasantly surprised with what was there, given how new it was. Um, I really was impressed by the size of the pool. We did not
Hmm.
use it. It was a
It
little
was a
too
little cold.
cold, but the pool is huge. So if you're there to spend a pool day and you're potentially worried about, like, being in a crowded pool, I don't think that's going to be an issue. That pool is ginormous. There was plenty of seating, so I thought that they did that really well. There is a poolside bar that also has plenty of seating and an awning with fans. So if you're like me and get too toasty too quickly, that's I thought, a great amenity for the pool area. There is a gift shop.
There's a pretty large hot tub out
Oh
there
yeah, there is a
too.
large hot tub, and they do movie nights by the pool as
Hmm.
well. And we didn't do that either, but I thought that was nifty. I was surprised when they said that. There is a gift shop at the resort, and I will say we weren't. They didn't have any Stella Nova specific stuff, which I think we were a little disappointed by. However, it was I would say they had a lot of options that were directly from the resorts. They had the parks. They had Harry Potter ones there. They had new merch out for, like, the Ministry of Magic, Epic Universe.
Yeah, right now it's basically just a preview shop for Epic Universe.
Yeah, and they also had a lot of Nintendo stuff in there too. And I just thought it was neat because there were some things that when we were in the parks, I was like, I don't know, like, maybe I don't want to buy this, maybe I do. And then I would remember, like, oh, the gift shop back at the resort had that thing. So, like, if I really
Hmm.
wanted to get it, I could later. So I thought that was nice. I loved that we were able to just get our park tickets right there at the guest services desk. They do have, it looked like a Hertz rental car, like, desk. I'm not
Yeah.
sure that it was functioning, but that would be really helpful, especially considering the location, all the stuff that we mentioned. Renting a car might be a thing that happens. Um, and then the shuttle, I would count that as an amenity. The shuttle I thought was helpful. It did come frequently, which I feel like is a thing that at many resorts they're like, oh yeah, we have a shuttle. It comes every 15 minutes. That almost always ends up being a lie. I
Oh,
feel
they
like
were lining them up back to back.
yeah, they were very true to their word, and the shuttles did get you there quickly. My only complaint is they do wait a very long time to fill those puppies up. And
Which
so,
I didn't really understand because there was always another shuttle, at least one
yeah,
other shuttle, like
waiting.
waiting for
It
that.
was really odd, and it was like, not let's wait until every seat is taken. It was wait until every seat is taken and there's no standing room either. So it's like, I don't know, at the end, particularly at the end of our park day, was like, that was when it irritated me the most. I was like, I'm tired, my feet hurt, like, I don't want to be standing for this long.
But with this being a smaller resort, let me tell you, the line, we walked right onto that
No
shuttle at
line.
the end of the day, whereas we saw that Cabana Bay
That was
line
crazy.
in the surf side and dock side. Oof, those shuttle lines were long.
Long.
So
Yeah.
that's a perk of
Mm-hmm.
staying at Stella Nova.
Um, that to say, I think the amenities they have are good. But There's, in terms of like entertainment type amenities, so things like if I was going to spend a day at the resort, what could I do? I would say that was lacking.
Hmm.
And I don't think that they're trying to cater to that, right? They're assuming you're going to go to the parks. The park is right there, or go at least go to City Walk. So I would say the things they had, they did well, but they didn't really have that much. So for that, I'm gonna say probably like a 7.
Okay.
7. I'm gonna go with a 7.
Yeah, amenities for me, I don't have a whole lot of additional context to add. I thought it was perfectly adequate. I wasn't super impressed, but I wasn't really disappointed. The only thing that really irked me a bit was the gift shop situation. I still don't understand why they have zero Stella Nova merchandise. And I love getting something from each
Yeah,
place that I stay. Like for each Disney cruise ship I go on, I need to get a little like pin. And it doesn't have to be something big, like even something really small. All the Disney resorts I've stayed at, like I get a pin from there too. Or
mm-hmm.
sometimes it's nice to get a shirt or something, like anything. But they don't have
Have that.
anything, and that
It's
just disappointed me.
it sounded like you overheard a conversation where they're working on it.
Yeah, I did. Yeah, somebody asked an employee working there, and they were like, "No, yeah, we don't have any merchandise. I'm hoping we get some soon." So who knows? Maybe by the time we post the video, they will have some
They
things
had enough
available.
people like us badger them.
Yeah, yeah.
I will say that I wish, even so, when we got there, we went to the bar right away, got a little beveragino. The beveraginos, by the way, great, themed. They're fabulous. I don't even remember what I had, but it was great. The cups that they came in, I would have purchased one of those. I
Oh,
loved the cups.
yeah. The cups were very, very cool. They also had a fitness center.
Oh, it was
They
huge.
That was pretty
And there was
large.
a game room too.
Yeah, which was unfortunately really small.
Yeah.
Like the arcade was
I also
incredibly
feel
small.
like you wouldn't find it unless you were looking really hard for it.
Yeah, it was kind of hidden away. But yeah, I thought the pool area was pretty cool. The pool deck itself was kind of plain.
Mm-hmm.
They had like a maybe one or a couple ping pong table tennis
Yeah.
tables out there. Um, so yeah, I thought amenities were pretty good, and I think you stated that very well in terms of like that extra additional stuff
Mm-hmm.
where you could feel like, oh, I'm just going to, spend my entire day, do a little resort staycation, and not go to a theme park. I don't know if there's quite enough there for that.
Yeah.
So for me, it's also a 7 out of 10. Now we have to rate the food next. And to me, there's just not enough of a variety of food options here. They had Cosmos, which you could go to for your standard like breakfast, lunch, and dinner options, a smaller menu. Um, the food that we had one dinner there and then a breakfast. And in terms of taste, the food wasn't that bad. It was
I thought it
fine.
was good.
Yeah, I kind of liked the French toast that we had for
Yeah,
breakfast.
that
That
was
was
really
really good.
good.
Um, but the food was quite
Expensive.
expensive for the quality. And yeah, it also just kind of reminded me of typical theme park food. I wouldn't go out of my way to eat there. They have like the Cosmos Cafe as well, a little market where they do coffee and it's a grab and go situation. And I just had the same thoughts about that. It was very small. There wasn't a great variety. And I
Mm-hmm.
was looking forward to more of like a quick service dining experience that you might have at like a Pop Century on Disney's property or in Art of Animation, where their dining hall is like huge and you got a lot of options to choose from. And this is a smaller resort, like I get that, but
Yeah.
I just wasn't very impressed with the food or with the price. Um, I appreciate the fact that they had like the poolside bar and they also had the Nova
It was like
bar.
a little like mini. It had a slightly different menu,
Yep.
and you could order food from there too. That was
Yeah.
actually where we got food. Was from the first night. Was from the little mini restaurant.
Hmm. That was the Galaxy
Yep, the
bar.
Galaxy.
I'm talking about just inside
Oh
the
yeah, yeah,
lobby.
yeah. They had that
Yeah.
other bar as well.
Yep. So I'm glad they had that, but I just wish they had a better grab and go
Yeah,
situation. So food for me, I just have to give it a pretty basic 6 out of 10.
yeah. I have similar thoughts and feelings about the food. In terms of variety, I definitely think that if you're spending more than 3 days there, you're going to quickly run out of options, right? Um, the breakfast menu, I was impressed with. There were a lot of things on that breakfast menu that I would have been happy to eat over and over again. But the when it comes to like lunch and dinner, definitely limited. You would get tired of things, I think, pretty quickly. Um, the food, I thought the quality was good. Maybe I was really tired that first day, but I thought that the chicken sandwich that I got was kind of a banger. Um,
Yeah,
and
the
it
burger I had was like
is
not that
fine.
great. Yeah.
But it came with like a huge amount of fries. So I was happy with the food, but then I saw the price and I was like, holy cow. I think for like a burger and my sandwich, a chicken sandwich, mind you, was like $40 for the both of us after all was said and done. Like
Yeah,
30 to $40.
it was definitely 40
It
or
was
more.
expensive. And I was just like, well, okay, we're gonna do this once and never do it again. And then when we did breakfast the next day, I was like, let's just split something.
Yeah.
So I think,
That
and
might
then
be a pro tip.
just
Like
split it
you can probably
because
split those.
the sizes are so big, and it's just unfortunate because, like you mentioned, City Walks. No, you got to get on a shuttle, get to get City Walk, and if you don't go there, there's nothing else there. So it's like you're kind of that's your choice is that expensive
Yeah.
food. So
I
that
really hope that Terra Luna has like a totally different menu and then you get a bit more
a
variety and you
variety.
could choose between the two.
But yeah, I was not super impressed with the food. I didn't partake. I mean, you would get me my coffee every morning, so I didn't really partake in the quick service, but nor did I ever feel a need to or really want to. So yeah, just I would say probably I'm gonna give it also like a 6.5. I thought I enjoyed the quality of the food, I think a little more than you did, but I was also irked out by the prices and just the limited options too.
And that brings us to our final category here, value for money.
Yeah, I mean, this is a tough one for me. We talked this out a couple of times. The price, if it stays what it is, you can't beat that price. I feel like that was a really good price for what that resort was. It was beautifully done. I feel like when you walk in, you don't feel like you're staying in like a value resort, as they call it. Like I still feel like there was a kind
Yeah.
of luxuriousness to it.
It's like their second, it's Universal second
Yeah.
category, prime value, they call it. So it's above Surfside and Dockside, on par with like Aventura and
Mm-hmm.
the Cabana Bay. So,
Yeah. But I also there were just a few things that I was like, oh, this could use some tweaking. The bedding we've already mentioned, the food options and the price that they were, I was like, oof, this could. I mean, if you're staying and you're trying to work on a budget, eating at that resort is not going to do it for you. Um, the other thing that I felt like was lackluster was the toiletries. I mentioned this in the room tour. There was like shampoo, conditioner, no body wash in the shower. We were provided a facial soap to use as facial soap and hand soap question mark, and then that was it. And I just think that if people are coming to stay in a resort, particularly a theme park resort, you've got to consider that you are going to have families in those rooms and they're going to be staying probably for at least a few days. So to provide that sort of thing is, I think, really attractive to guests. So that's one less thing for them to have to pack, right? So that was like, I feel like what lost points for me. But overall, I'm gonna go with an 8 out of 10. I think here, like the price you can't beat, and so all the things that I'm complaining about, I feel like I could overlook for that price.
yeah, again, like $210 per night.
And if you
It
split that with people, like
yeah, the, I don't know, value here, I think value is there. That's just my opinion. Because if I'm trying to do like an adequate comparison, I feel like you'd have to compare this up against something like Pop Century if we're going with that price point. Like
Hmm.
it's just higher than Disney's All-Star resorts. I feel like Pop Century might be priced higher than this at certain times of the year. And it's just better quality than that. It's like significantly better in the rooms.
Yeah.
Um, and just that intimate feel. It's not this like huge, massive, sprawling resort with a bunch of different buildings you might be placed in. It is one singular building at the Stella Nova. And I think what you're paying, like you're definitely getting that value, especially when Epic Universe opens.
Yeah, I think
If you can
that will be really
legitimately get
telling.
a theme park view for a room, paying that price,
And then
like
just walk over.
there's no way you're getting that with Disney anywhere. You can't see into one of their
Any.
theme parks for less than, $600 per night. So I think the value is definitely there. Maybe not for the food, but for everything else, yeah, it was great. Like I have to give value a 9 out of 10. And I'll just say this, it made me want to explore other Universal resorts
Yes, that I
because
would
this
agree
was the
on.
first one that I have stayed in. And knowing what we paid, just like, whew, I'd pay that again.
Yeah.
Like that's the thing, even though there are some cons to staying at this particular location, some things that are still being worked out. Like I left feeling, ooh, we really got a lot of value for our money.
Yeah.
So just taking our entire Universal experience into account,
Hmm.
um, yeah, I have to give it a 9 out of 10. And at those like comparable resorts, you don't have those additional amenities
Hmm.
like um, a really nice bar in,
There was two bars.
yeah,
That was,
yeah,
yeah.
two
And
bars.
the
And
customer service was great. Like,
yeah, that was another thing, the
our
service.
bartender was so funny.
Hmm.
He had control of the aux and was really wanting to show that off on the particular time we were there. But I feel like it's those touches of
Yeah,
having that good service, um, in addition to like, oh, I didn't have to pay an arm and a leg to be here, but I feel like I'm being taken care of. I thought that was nice. I was prepared to not have that.
yeah.
Last qualm, insert this wherever you want. The TV situation was a little odd. I don't even think this would fall into a bucket, but we are Bachelor Nation people, and maybe this is just like a thing, like a direct competitor with Disney, but we tried to Monday night turn on our ABC, could not watch it. Could not watch
Yeah,
it.
we could not turn ABC on.
I
That was
was
so
so
funny.
sad. And I was like, you guys, I get it. Like, Universal Disney competition, whatever, but let us watch The Bachelor. What does that have to do with anything except making people happy? So, insert that wherever you want. Ability to watch Bachelor category.
All right, so totals here. For me, location 7.5, design 8.5, amenities 7, food 6, and value 9 for a grand total of 38 out of 50.
And for me, it was location 8.5, design 8.5, amenities. I wrote down 7, but I might have said 7.5, so we'll fix the total if I'm a liar. Food 6.5, value 8 for a total of 38.5 or potentially 39.
So
Oops.
very similar here, though.
Yeah, I feel like on our Alani ones we were a little like more. I think there was a standard deviation there, but this one is pretty close.
Yeah, so ultimately, I think for the price, Stella Nova should definitely be a resort that you consider staying at,
Mm-hmm.
especially post the opening of Epic Universe. It would be
I
such a fun experience to be that
that
close to a brand
close.
new theme park.
I'm really curious. Like, it felt like when we were there were not a ton of people. I'm really curious to see what happens when these parks open. If those two resorts just become like impossible to book, just because of how great the price is and how close they are. But the Helios might give everything a run for its money. Who knows?
Yeah, literally being in the park
And it
with
looks
access to the park.
gorgeous.
It does, yeah. So thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed this review. Hope it was helpful for you if you're considering going to Universal Orlando in the near future. And stay tuned because we have a lot of other vlogs about our time down in Orlando and on the Disney cruise coming your way soon. So feel free to like this video and subscribe to our channel if you want to see more of these videos.
And also follow us on Instagram too if you want to keep closer track of what we do on a day-to-day.
Of course. Thanks so much, everybody. See you later.